testing. Testing mic. Okay, I think we can start now. My mic is okay, and then screen is okay, line is okay. So okay, we out. You were now it's already 8 o'clock. Okay, so we will start our class now. So for today, we will enter the last chapter lah for this class. So this is the last chapter that I teach. So this is selection and speciation chapter, chapter 3 of the this semester, which is the last chapter for ecology lah, and also the last chapter that I teach for to you guys. So okay, so this chapter is about selection and speciation. So there are only two main big topic, either is selection or speciation. So normally this one is just that like the selection normally is just select. It is like the ecology, it is under the ecology topic, and also it is normally is more toward uh the changes of the characteristic of the organism, and also the formation of species. Situation is formation of species. So for today, I will go to the selection first. So maybe next week I will go to the speciation lah. Okay, so this selection, so if you see the syllabus, so normally the first topic that you learn is variation. Variation. You learn it in SPM, right? I think SPM you have learned it, variation topic, one chapter, right? So actually in SPM you also learn it, but until now in SPM, until now, past year does not MPM did not come out yet in this question or part, either objective, structure, or essay, but it is in the syllabus, so you need to know also lah. So normally the variation, the first one is you need to know the importance of variation and also the definition of variation lah. So normally variation is the differences between organism in same species. So variation is very important to recognize the individual. Although we are the same species like human, although I and you or are in the all the world, all the human in the world is in the under the same species, but different individual will give different characteristic, right? Different trait. Some people is maybe look tall, some people is short, and some people the eye is very big, some people eye is small like that, right? And some people the hair is curly hair, and some people is botak. It originally is botak, and some people like that. So it is the differences to make a differences between organism, so that we can know, we can directly we see you, I directly know you already. Know you already. See all organism. Not ever in human, in dog, in cat, in tiger, all of the organism actually they are differences. They are the differences one. Okay, so this is the definition and differences. So why this difference is very important to the ecosystem? So normally it provide the adaptation for organism to survive in the ever changing environment. Meaning that different type of characteristic is due to that characteristic is able to adapt to that environment. So meaning organism with suitable adaptation are able to compete and survive. So you see that some people in the world, you see that all in the Asian country and the African country, the skin color of the Africa country and Asia, and also even go to the Europe country, United States country, the skin color is totally different, right? African country is black skin color, and then you go to Asia normally is brown color, brown color, or slightly white color. But in European, it is totally white color. So they are the reason why the different color, because this different skin color is due to that environment is uh the skin color is able to adapt that kind of environment. And then also variation can prevent the outbreak of disease the whole population die. It can prevent it. It will prevent that what not if you all of the organism contain the same variation at all, meaning that the gene characteristic, the gene sequence also totally same. So if totally same, meaning that got one disease, if the population or the world outbreak the disease. So for example, it's COVID-19 lah. If all of the human is have the same variation, COVID-19 keluar je, one outbreak of COVID-19, all people would directly die because all people share same characteristic. We have share same characteristic. We are totally same. So if totally same, when the people is infected COVID-19 or that people almost die already, and also prevent the extinction of species because it able to adapt changing our environment and also it is essential for survival lah. So this is the importance of variation. So if you know that there are two types of variation, right? Either it's continuous and discontinuous. So normally continuous you will give this bell curve shape, normally distributed curve, and then this one is normally is bar curve, bar chart, using bar chart one. So normally the main differences is this lah. The characteristic is quantitative and qualitative. So quantitative meaning that there are number one. Quanti, right? Quanti is numbering. It can be measure one. So for example is height, skin color and weight. You can measure your height, right? You can measure the weight, right? And then you can measure the skin color, right? Skin color, right? But for qualitative, meaning that it is not numbering. It only can it can directly, the characteristic is directly appear at all. Like the blood ABO blood group, meaning that every people that does not, the ABO blood group cannot be measured one. You are you are blood A, you may be confirm blood A. You are AB, memang AB punya. Tak ada cakap, oh, you have the 50% is blood A, 50% is blood O. No such thing. No say that, oh, your blood composition ada 50% is A punya beratus. And then ada 50% is B, is O punya. Tak ada macam tu. Memang awak blood A, memang blood A. And also fingerprinting, yeah. Every human, every organism have different fingerprinting. Your fingerprint, your finger thumb, your fingerprint thumb. Even you are the twin also, the finger fingerprint thumb is totally different one. Totally different. Totally new unique characteristic. So that is why many bank, or even you go to passport, all of them they want to uh recognize your name or recognize your identity. They were using the fingerprint thumb. Because every people will have the unique fingerprint thumb. So this one is we call as discontinuous variation, because there is no such thing say that, oh, you can measure your fingerprinting thumb one. No. So normally this one, this continuous, you can see that the difference in characteristic are not distinctive, and then this discontinuous is distinctive, meaning that you can directly differentiate them. Like A, B, and A, totally different at all. But this distinctive meaning that you cannot say that, just example lah, macam mana kami define tall? Is it 170 cm we know as tall, or 180? Because some country maybe the average tall is 180, but some country normally the people average is only 150. So if you are 165 like that, you are considered tall already. So meaning there are no distinctive, no 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 define correctly define lah. You cannot correctly define this kind of characteristic one. And then also the continuous show a gradation and no gradation for discontinuous. And then continuous we have intermediate characteristic like tall, like your height lah. Memang ada intermediate right. And but discontinuous does not have intermediate one. We cannot say that A and O, or got A and O punya. Ada apa ataupun ada A tengah-tengah punya. No such thing. And then normal this one lah, normally graph will show normal distribution curve, or this one is discrete distribution. And then continuous normally can be affected by environmental factor and genetic factor. But for this discontinuous, it only can affect by genetic factor only. Environment cannot affect what? Like the blood group, environment cannot affect, right? You when you born is blood A, memang blood A je. Tak boleh ubah lah, tak boleh cakap ada environment boleh then change your blood group from blood A to blood O one. No such thing. because it only can be controlled by genetic factor. But this one continuous, yeah, you can prefer control by environmental factor and genetic factor. Uh, okay, so this is just the recap from your SPM. Okay, this one is similarity. Normally cause differences between the species give rise to biodiversity caused by environmental factor, and then help to survive better than those without any variation. Okay. Okay, now we go to the main point of the topic is selection. So normally this selection, the definition is that selection actually is a process whereby many factors acting on phenotype favor the transmission of particular allele to the following generation. Meaning that this is the process there are many factor that affect your phenotype favor. Maybe you are now white skin color, maybe white skin color, but due to the environmental factor, your place you survive, your working environment or any environment banyak factor that maybe can affect your phenotype one. So this phenotype will not affect to you, but it will transmit this phenotype change to your following generation, to your children or to your cucuk anak cucuk awak. So normally this selection process is very natural selection is very long-term process. So this selection we have two types. Either it is natural selection or artificial selection. So normally in natural selection, it is very long time. The process is need to taking very long one. You cannot say that in natural selection, you cannot say that due to the environmental factor, then your children will totally different from you. The children will totally have the different phenotype from you. No such thing lah. No such thing. Because natural selection is very you need to have a very long-term process one. So normally this one is not very easily to be observed in short time. Normally you need to observe very long time. Normally is 100 year lah, within 100 year or even more than 100 year. Uh, Normally you need to observe a history lah of the organism. So normally this one I already mentioned we have two type of selection are natural and artificial. So natural selection is that they occur naturally, occur semula jadi. No human control one. It is based on the environmental factor that be faced by that organism one. But for artificial, it is imposed by human. Humans select that kind of that kind of phenotype one. Memang kami nak phenotype itu. That we want that kind of phenotype. So this one normally is very fast because it's human made. So human just using the scientific knowledge, maybe change the organism or maybe make a hybridization. All of that lah. All of that to make them the organism have the phenotype that we want. Similarly, this is the differences. Similarly, favor traits that are suitable for the environment. Yeah, because why selection occur? Because it need to adapt that kind of environment. Like for now, maybe for now, when that environment actually for now is not suitable already. So it need to select one kind of phenotype that can be able to adapt at that kind of environment. Yeah, but for artificial, normally it is because chosen by human. It is chosen by a human. So normally it not cannot say that it is very suitable for environment one. It can maybe suitable or not suitable one. But normally the main objective is to human want it because of human benefit. Yeah, and then next difference is post of habitable trait that are better adapted to the next generation. But the next generation trait, all of them are chosen by human. And then the period, natural selection longer time, normally more than century. I need to century time, but this one is shorter time, normally 10 years, 20 years, already can. And then another one is no not necessarily beneficial for the species fitness in nature. They have increased the ability to survive and reproduce. Okay, so this is the differences. Okay, so the natural selection definition is that Individual have certain inherited trait tend to survive and reproduce at higher rate than other individual because of those traits. Meaning that actually that kind of organism that have certain that it has the inherited trait, inherited genotype to survive. Maybe some of the example maybe is black and white color. Basically, that kind of organism it has also black genotype and also white genotype. But at that kind of environment, in a environment, it is more suitable that organism present a black color phenotype black color phenotype. But suddenly, when there are the changes in one kind of environment, or you go to immigrate to other country, or go to other spaces that affect your environment, meaning that black color is not suitable already. It may be suitable for white color one. So this one, the our human, our cell and our gene will automatically reproduce that white color genotype, express that white color genotype to form white color one. It will reproduce at higher rate because it already know that kind of environment, black color is already not suitable. White color suitable. So it will reproduce. So maksudnya anak-anak dia, the offspring that we produce will be more further to white color. It will form white color slowly lah, not directly from turn from black to white. It will directly smoothly smoothly change the color lah. Okay, so normally this is a general definition. So there are many types of natural selection. So this one is very famous one. There are three graphs, right? You already learned three graphs. These three graphs. Disruptive, directional, and stabilizing. All of you already mentioned. So this one is very important in natural selection. These three: stabilizing, directional, and disruptive. So we go to one by one. So normally the first one is about stabilizing. So normally our graph is normally distributed one. Normally is broad, normally distributed. It is very broad one normally. So in this stabilizing selection, meaning that it will change to like this. That they change to like this. Meaning that there are many organisms will have the trait in intermediate trait one. So you will see that the process of natural selection associated with a population well adapted to its environment. So it is favored intermediate characteristic. So for this one, you see that the number of egg. For this example, it is using number of egg for this bird. So if you see that when it go through the stabilizing selection, meaning that the number of egg reproduced by the bird, it actually is intermediate lah. Tak, awak nak cakap banyak pun tak banyak, nak cakap kurang pun tak kurang. But compared to normal one, when it is normal one, it can be the rate of it produce the egg is very broad. It can be maybe 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. But for this one, it will all together, normally the average value is only 50 or 60. Because all of them, the number of egg it will produce by this bird is normally is intermediate one. So it will lower the variation against or eliminate the both extreme trait. Dia keadaan dia, it will not have the extreme trait one, extreme trait. So for this one, number of egg, does not have the bird can reproduce many eggs one. And also does not contain the bird that can reproduce few eggs. All of them will reproduce at the intermediate, the normal range one. So normally this one will lower the variation with which have a deleterious effect of on the phenotype, and also the population genetic variance will decrease. So this meaning that meaning that this will lower the differences, lower the variation, because all of that is intermediate, meaning that the characteristic all of that almost same, almost same. So meaning that the variation actually is decreasing, and then the population genetic variance is also decreased, meaning that the genetic the change the genetic sequence of that organism also very look like similar lah. Tak ubah banyak lah. Okay, sorry. Okay. So normally, yeah, that and then the most famous example that you refer is the human the weight of the baby, the weight of the baby. You will see this, you will see the weight of the baby. So normally you will see this graph, this graph, the graph that the bar chart one is what we know as stabilizing selection lah. And then this red line is the mortality rate of the baby. So if you see that mortality is the death rate lah. So if you see here, if the baby have the very low weight or very high weight, the mortality rate, the death rate is very high. You compare to here. But when you go to the intermediate body weight of the baby, the death rate is very low. So meaning that due to this environment, so the weight of the baby or the mother that when they are pregnant or undergo patuation, and then they will reproduce the baby which have the intermediate weight one. So the weight normally, if you see here, normally it is in pound, normally is about 5 pound to 8 pound lah. 5 pound to 8 pound, and then 7 pound is the mostly baby weight. Mostly baby weight one. So normally directly 5 to 8 lah, like that lah. So normally all of the baby in the world that reproduce, the body weight is normally is to 5 to 8. But there are also some of them is extreme, but the extreme is very rarely case, because in extreme state, if the baby weight is too small or too low or too high, it can contribute to the high mortality rate. So because of this kind of environment, so that the baby body weight will choose this kind of selection. It will choose the intermediate characteristic. So that is what we call as stabilizing selection. Now next we go to the disruptive selection. So normally disruptive selection, if you go to this one is normal graph, and then you refer that dia akan pilih, dia akan eliminate the intermediate characteristic. For this one, it will intermediate against or eliminate the intermediate characteristic. Meaning this kind of organism will favor the extreme trait. Either is very low or very high. But for this one, either is very sensitive or either is very resistant. Tak ada tengah-tengah. No intermediate one. Either the organism is very sensitive or either the organism is very resistant. So for this one, example is the colonial bent grass, because this grass is maybe either it is tolerant to the metal in the soil. So either it is very sensitive to the either this plant is very sensitive to the metal or resistant to the metal. So when sensitive to the metal, meaning that when this plant is exposed to the metal, it will directly die. It cannot survive at that kind of environment. But for when the metal is very highly tolerant to the metal, resistant to the metal, meaning that this kind of plant can survive at the highly polluted metal land. This one only can survive at the unpolluted land. This one can survive at the polluted land. That comparison, there are no intermediate one. Either it can survive or cannot survive. So because of this, it will produce the two peak in the distribution. Dia ada dua peak, satu peak dekat sini, satu peak dekat sini, because both extreme condition. So this one will increase the genetic variance as the population become more diverse. Yeah, because of this kind, so the genetic sequence, the genetic content of the organism will be very different. Will be very different. And then the fitness value of one genotype are higher in one environment, while the fitness value of the other genotype is higher at another environment. So meaning that kind of this when in the left hand side is only can survive at that kind of environment, and another one is survive at another environment, totally different environment one. For this one, it only can survive at the unpolluted, but this one it can survive at polluted. Okay, so this one kind is one type of example, and another example is rabbit fur color. So normally this one is very famous one. If your rabbit in intermediate color is white color. Yeah, your intermediate is white color one, white color. But when the rabbit is stay at the dark area, in the dark area, meaning that you at the dark area, if you appear white color, tak sesuai kan? Very it is very easily to see. If the rabbit is in the dark area, that in the cave, if it appear white color skin, what are the effect? It very appear clearly to see. So the predator is easily to see it and makan dia. So the safety of this rabbit is very low. It is very easily to be captured by the predator. So when you want to survive at that kind of environment, meaning that this rabbit have to choose the skin color, need to choose the skin color that are suitable for that dark environment. So it will choose the dark color, black skin color. uh, and then another one is when it go to the light area, very light area, very shining area, so it will choose the gray skin color. Because it will choose the gray skin color one. So normally this one is what we call as disruptive selection. And another example is bird beak, the Darwin finch, the beak of the bird. So either it can be very big or very small lah. Some of that is very big. A very side of these are common, but with very large beak and very small beak are at base adapted. So base adapted one. So normally they are either very big or very small. Okay. Okay, because due to their food sources. Because big pig, you can obtain very high, very large food. But small pig, you only can obtain small food, smaller size of food. Why? Because like this, because of environment. Because maybe the big size bird, it survive at that environment. The food normally is larger in size. So it need to choose big pig. But for this one small pig one, maybe it survive at the environment. The food normally is smaller inside, so it will choose the smaller one. So there are no average one. So this is the example. Another one is about directional. So direction, so you know that what it mean the direction? Meaning it will favor to one of the extreme characteristic. It will against other extreme characteristic and intermediate characteristic. Either it go to the left or go to the right. Yang ni disruptive is both go to the extreme. Memang dia akan pergi dua-duanya. Based on the environment lah. But for this one, it will only move to the one direction. Either go to the left one or go to the right one. So if you see this color, the one of the example, the move skin color, move color. Either it go to the light color or dark color. So in polluted environment, it will go to the light color lah. So normally you shift in the population genetic variant toward the new fit phenotype occur only if earlier favor under the new circumstance are already present in that kind of population. Meaning that when that earlier is already favor, already suitable, already okay lah, boleh lah, that at that kind of new environment, And then a new allele may be introduced into a population by mutation, and then the new allele may confer a higher fitness in individual to carry it. So it will the allele maybe will change. It will change the allele type to ensure that kind of organism is suitable and adapted to that kind of environment. So one of the example is also you can use the rabbit fur color. So when you place at the dark space, yeah, it will when you go dark space, yeah, it will have the dark color, dark skin color. But you go to the very light space, you will produce white rabbit lah. And also bird beaks, yeah, yeah. And then the also the paper muff, so all of this all this. So normally this one it look like similar like this, but this one it will go through toward the both extreme straight. Ha. And then this one only go toward one direction. Hanya satu je. Okay. So normally this is the overall process. So normally all the normal one is normally distributed. Disruptive it will against the intermediate one, it will favor the both extreme part. And then the directional it will against the intermediate and another extreme, it will go toward favor the another extreme, one of the extreme only. And then the stabilizing, yeah, it will eliminate all of the extreme part, it will favor intermediate part. Okay. So this is the very important one, three type of selection. Very important. Memang keluar dia dah keluar banyak kali lah. Very important, very famous topic. Another one is about the also under natural selection, but it's not very famous. So normally this one is sexual selection. So what is the sexual selection? So meaning sexual selection actually is a process which individual with certain inherited characteristics are more likely than other individual of the same sex to obtain mate. So sexual selection is based on the sex, based on the attraction of the opposite sex one. Macam awak lah, macam kalau awak nak cari boyfriend or girlfriend for nowadays, normally they are want to find the very handsome boy one, like the Korean K-pop handsome boy. Semua wanita suka dia kan. Like for men, dia suka lengloi kan, lengloi lengcai kan. Boy suka lengloi, girl suka lengcai. So how the people, the individual to choose the handsome trait, handsome punya trait. And also the girl choose the beautiful trait. So this one is the selection that choose the trait that can be able to attract the opposite sex. Other individual of the same sex. Macam ada differences lah. Saya dengan ada punya lelaki. Like maybe I make a comparison with the K-pop, like BTS. BTS sangat handsome kan, sangat kacak kan. Semua wanita nak kahwin dengan dia. Tak nak kahwin dengan saya kan, saya tak kacak. BTS lebih kacak, lebih handsome. Semua wanita nak handsome dengan dia. So dia ada trait, BTS mempunyai trait yang boleh attract semua orang punya. Because they are the selection. It already select. Normally in Korean punya society, the Korean society already have the sexual selection, already select that the trait which is very can attract the opposite sex, attract the female or male one. Karena dia ada characteristic tu lah. So normally if you go to Korea, you can see memang banyak memang lengloi lengcai compare to Malaysia lah. Awak pergi Korea, wah memang awak pergi je, you go to the Korean, you can see many lengloi lengcai. But if you go to Japan, you can see many amoy. I had go to Japan, I know. Awak go to Japan, you can see memang many amoy. Or you go to Russia or Ukraine, you can see memang banyak amoy dekat sana. Dia memang banyak beautiful female at there because of this sexual selection, because of this. Okay, so this one will result sexual dimorphism. meaning difference in secondary sexual characteristic between female and male of the same species. So memanglah kami akan pilih lah. Like all of them you will choose right. Choose right. Oh ini saya rasa saya boleh lah. Ini boleh lah jadi boyfriend, jadi girlfriend untuk saya. Inilah, ini orang boleh jadi boyfriend lah. Inilah. Okay, so the intrasexual selection within sex usually occur on male or male. So normally this one is meaning that normally in the world, not only human, male is the one of the organism that have the volunteering to attract female. Normally is male want to make up become handsome to attract female one. Normally is not female volunteer. Normally is male. Male akan sendiri untuk apa? Bahasa mana? Attract female. You will go to the real situation. Normally kahwin kan. Before kahwin nak minta kahwin kan. Minta kahwin. Kahwin semua tu orang lelaki yang buat kan. Tak. Awak tak akan nampak perempuan minta kahwin daripada lelaki kan. Sangat kurang. Normally is lelaki minta kahwin untuk perempuan kan. Right. So normally this one, normally the competition is normally occur in male. And then you see normally is male want to choose female one. The male choose female, and then there are memang banyak competition lah. So this one is what this mean. And then the individual of one sex can compete directly for mate of the opposite side. Male will patrol a group of female and prevent other male from mating with the normally orang lelaki ni memang senang untuk what we say senang untuk berpatrol a group of female and prevent other male. Dia memang kalau lah saya boyfriend, I have a girlfriend, but if this girlfriend kalau dia tengok lengcai lain, saya akan rasa tak boleh. Nanti dia ambil girlfriend dekat saya macam mana? Male ada perasaan itulah normally in male. But for female not very have, but for nowadays I think female already have also. But normally is male have this kind of characteristic. And then this patrolling male will defend his status by defending smaller vehicle. Memang akan prevent punya. Memang akan in animal, but for in animal memang dia akan fight punya. Kalau ada lain lelaki nak kawan dengan girlfriend awak, memang dia akan halang punya. Memang tak boleh punya. Memang tak boleh. Tak boleh punya. Okay, and then male are involved in the competition by each other by song, prominent structure, building elaborate structure. So in intersexual selection, individuals choose their selecting mate to opposite sex, usually occur in female. So normally choosing selection is occur in female. In male normally is selection within same sex. So normally selection within same sex meaning that there are the competition between the same sex like male. Kami ada pertandingan punya. Kalau lain punya lelaki kawan dengan girlfriend awak, memang awak sangat marah punya. Dia kawan dengan orang perempuan yang awak suka, memang lelaki ni sangat marah dengan dia punya. But for female normally is intersexual, meaning that dia akan pilih punya. Tak cakap ini lelaki memang dia pilih ini lelaki macam boleh lah, saya kawan lah, ini lelaki tak boleh lah, macam tu lah. Okay, so one of the example you see here peacock lah, you see this peacock, peacock. So normally this one very beautiful peacock is male, right? This is male, and then this one is female. Why you want to have this beautiful feather? Because it need to attract female. dia nak extract perempuan ni. Jadi boyfriend dekat saya kawan cakap saya memang handsome kan, saya cantik kepala lah, cantik gila lah. Bolehlah kawan dengan saya macam tu lah. Okay, this one is what we call as sexual selection lah. Okay, another one is about polymorphism. So normally this one is a selection that when there are the different phenotype found in the population. There are different phenotype. Normally is like the TT, both capital T or smaller t or the heterozygous. Either is homozygous, right? We know that phenotype we have homozygote and heterozygote. Homozygote dominant, heterozygote, and also hominid recessive. So normally this one is based on the phenotype. What kind of phenotype is suitable for that kind of woman? Is it homozygous dominant, heterozygous, or homozygous recessive? What kind of? Okay, so normally there are two types: balance or transient polymorphism. So normally this balanced polymorphism is that is a special type of genetic polymorphism in which two or three earlier persist in a population over many generations as a result of the natural selection. Okay, so meaning that there are two or more earlier it already maintained at that kind of population in many generations. Many generations. So meaning that the organism will have the both earlier of the gene rather than having two copies of either version alone. Therefore, in a population, both versions of the gene may be maintained. In some cases, natural selection may be even maintain a population earlier that are unfavorable in the homozygous state. So this one is known as heterozygote advantage, where heterozygote is more fit than homozygous. Meaning, this one is more toward heterozygous one. Because you see here, the organism will have both earlier, meaning it has the dominant earlier and recessive earlier one. Dua earlier dia ada, dominant and recessive earlier, baru boleh survive. So whether they have the same copy, dia tak akan ada homozygous dominant and homozygous recessive one. Memang dia ada both earlier. And then therefore, this both version can be maintained. And then this one will resulting the natural selection and maybe even maintain a population that are unfavorable. So meaning dia akan select in when that organism have this kind of earlier, this heterozygous earlier in many generations, it will result that this kind of organism will select the heterozygous phenotype. Heterozygous. It will not select homozygous one. Dia akan pilih heterozygous. So this one is that when there are more earlier persist in the population, meaning that they are not same earlier one. It is memang earlier tu akan ada homozygous and recessive. You know that there are two. If one gene have two earlier, right? One is dominant, one is recessive, or multiple earlier or multiple gene. Memang multiple gene tu dekat sana memang ada homozygous and recessive. Homozygous and recessive earlier. Tak ada semua homozygous, tak ada semua tak akan ada semua earlier is dominant and tak ada semua earlier is recessive. Dia ada campur-campur. And then this one will be occur in many generation. Many generation, bukan just satu generation je. Kalau satu generation atau dua generation memang tak ada, bukan we not as known as balanced polymorphism lah. So one of the example actually is this sickle cell anemia gene. So actually, if you know that sickle cell anemia is one type of genetic disease, right? So if you know that actually when the people with HH person HH actually is normal, and also the homozygous dominant and homozygous heterozygous actually is normal, normal person. This one homozygous dominant also will not get the sickle cell anemia, but the research found that when the people have both dominant earlier, it was infected with malaria. When this person is infected with malaria, it will have the high death rate. Kematian dia sangat tinggi. Kalau lah dia infect malaria. But if not infect malaria, memang normal people. But when this kind of people, when the people with this kind of phenotype, this gene, when it infected with malaria, it will have the high death rate. But when the people with this kind of this heterozygous carrier, what we call as carrier lah, is normal person. Normal je lah, tak ada apa-apa lah. So because of this, so that the world, the country that have the very high malaria cases, normally the people will have this heterozygous phenotype. This heterozygous genotype, what HH, is more fit compared to these two. Because this one, although it's normal, but when these people is infected with malaria, it has the high death rate. And then this one, homozygous recessive, yeah, totally is sickle cell anemia patient lah. Right. Okay, so this one card or example lah. Okay, another one is what we call as transient polymorphism. So normally this one is when there are the two earlier in the gene pool, and then one earlier is gradually replacing the other. So meaning that there are two earlier, but one of the earlier it already replaced. So normally this one you can say that is one of the heterozygous, but the dominant is actually replaced the recessive already. So the frequency of phenotype form is determined by the intensity of the selective pressure, and one of the two alternate form of the earlier is progressively replaced by another earlier during inheritance. So this will happen due to strong environmental pressure to eliminate one earlier from the gene pool. Okay, so normally this one is due to the environment pressure. Kalau nak ada environment pressure to got one sudden environment change, meaning that got one earlier, dia akan, tak kisahlah dia dominant or recessive. But for you will see this example, though there are no such thing say that it is dominant or recessive one. No, the characteristic of this skin color of the mole, tak ada cakap is dominant or recessive because it is based on the environment. Kalau dia berada dekat light very dark environment, yeah, it will appear in black color. But black color we know as dominant. But in white color when in very light environment, yeah, white color is more suitable, not better than dark color. So it is based on the earlier, because in the dark environment, the dark earlier, the control dark fader will replace the white earlier. And then in very light environment, the white earlier will replace the dark earlier. So when they are the earlier is replaced by the replacing to each other another earlier, memang we call as transient polymorphism. Okay, so I think so that's all for the natural selection. So any question about the natural selection? Okay, no question. Okay, now next I go toward the artificial selection. So normally this one selection, actually artificial selection is the process of a selection, but we modify the genotype or phenotype of the organism based on human action, human need. Kami nak punya, bukan natural punya. Memang kami human buat punya. So normally, okay, this is all the explanation. Though normally the genotype is altered to produce the new strain of the organism for a specific purpose, and then it will change the earlier frequency in the population. And then the human will select the certain phenotype to have the higher chance to survive. So this one actually is human helping them want to help them to increase the chance to survive, but also maybe of some of the purpose. And also this selection also will give negative effect because we already remove the variation in the population. And then the organism will easily susceptible to disease, because you already changed the genotype. So we don't know that kind of genotype actually is very easily cause the organism very easily to infected by disease, maybe. And then normally this kind of organism will easily to die because when the environment is changed. Because actually because it a human change, but human change because of some purpose. We don't think about the environment change. Kalau dia environment change, memang dia akan easily to die lah, kerana dia tak suitable at that kind of environment. Okay, and then another example is selective breeding. So we will see this. So normally selective breeding, because of the desired characteristic, and then okay, and then one of the example is outbreeding. Okay, so normally it's mating between unrelated or distantly related individual of a species to produce a offspring we know as hybrid. So you see this cow, one type of cow. So normally this one is two different species, two different individual cow, two different species of cow. They mating to each other. It will produce this cow, what we call as Angus lah. Why we want to produce this kind of cow? Because this kind of cow have the high quality and quantity of meat. Because the size of the cow is more bigger, and then the meat of this cow is high quality compared to these two. So this one we all know as outbreeding. So this one we choose kami choose we choose this kind of characteristic, this kind of phenotype. Another one is oil palm. So normally these two, oil palm. So it totally different two characteristic, two different phenotype, and then it will produce when then breed together, mate to each other, it will produce this tenera. So why they want to produce this tenera? Because it is thick mesocarp, thin shell, and high oil content. Yeah, high oil content. Lebih quality lah, highly production lah of the palm oil. And then another one is dog breeding, breeding of the dog. Yeah, the ancestor of the dog actually is wolf. But in nowadays when they make to each other, kami campur semua, dah lah banyak anjing yang ada sekarang. Okay. And then also got inbreeding. Inbreeding. So normally inbreeding is mating between closely related individuals within one population, meaning that actually the characteristic of both individual is very similar, just got some differences only. So normally is this corn. One of the example is using corn. So corn look very different from its ancestor. So that's taxonomy, which can be found today in the remote part of the Mexico, is very similar to the ancestor of the modern corn. So, and then artificial selection has transformed it into the form we know today. So normally the selection, this inbreeding selection is come from here. They are interbreed to this taxonomy, they are interbreed to each other. They are mating to each other because they are same characteristic. Just that when they're mating to each other, they will produce the corn, which the biji benih tu, awak boleh cakap, the jagung tu, dia lebih besar kan? Lebih besar, and then the size is very besar until then they make to each other again and again and again and again. For now, and when kami produce lah jagung sampai sekarang. Jagung macam ni lah. Kami dapat jagung macam ni because of this inbreeding. Kan? Mereka ada buat banyak inbreeding from here. Banyak buat until they form this jagung. Macam tu lah. And then this one is another example, what we call as the vegetable, the vegetable that we eat now, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, and then kale, all these vegetable actually is come from this kind of this plant, what we call as mustard. Basia olevica. This is the ancestor of this kind of plant. And then when they undergo the inbreeding, lepas tu dia akan hasilkan semua ni lah. So this one we call as the artificial selection. So very important. The importance of artificial selection normally that is based on syllabus. Yeah, you need to learn these three banks: gene bank, sperm bank, and also germplasm bank. Okay, so normally this one, how the human make the artificial selection, we need to have this bank lah, gene bank, sperm bank. Kerana kami nak store, we need to store the genetic information of all these organisms. So the gene bank is a place that preserves the genetic material of the organism in the world lah. So normally it collect, process, and distribute the specimen or genetic material for scientific purpose. So and then gene bank provide the researcher to access the diverse genetic resources, and store in gene bank may contain natural resistant, and then in gene bank can be valuable for biotechnology. So normally it's importance of the gene bank lah. Human sperm bank, yeah, normally because of the mating, want to want to want to want to want to what want to store the male punya sperm. So normally is want to obtain children lah. Because some of the male cancer patient, when the people male, dia sangat muda dapat cancer, so bila mula muda dia cancer, dia akan store their sperm lah. Store their sperm to prevent that, to ensure that their sperm quality is still good before they do the chemotherapy. When they do the chemotherapy, the sperm maybe the quality of the sperm maybe will be affected lah. And also the male that undergo vasectomy, may decided to have the children after vasectomy lah. Dia ada buat vasectomy tapi mula-mula dia dah menyesal lah, saya nak anak, memang saya nak anak. So dia boleh pergi sperm bank lah, ambil sperm lah, or the male that work at the high radioactive area, where the people were working at the high radioactive area. When they want to obtain the children, they need to store their sperm because high radioactive area will affect the quality of the sperm. Also, maybe can use by the researcher for the medical purpose or to screen the genetic disease. Okay. Another one is animal. So that kind is human. And then this one is animal. So normally the importance is still normally are same. Want to maintain healthy screening, disease screening, want to know the genetic material, genetic disease, and then also to sperm of the endangered species lah, preventing them disappear from the earth. Okay, so another one is germplasm bank. So this one is for plant one. Tadi all of them is about the animal. This one is very special for plant. So normally they store the seed lah, store the seed or store the spore. So normally this plant or seed or culture or this plant culture are germplasm when maintained for the purpose of studying, managing, or using the genetic information lah. Okay, so normally this plant will normally biodiversity conservation, want to study about the genetic relationship, genetic disease like drought resistant, heat tolerance, and also to produce the high production lah. So all of this. Okay, so I think that's all for the selection topic. So I think that's all for today. So any question? No question? Okay. If you have question, you just type in the chat box. Ada soalan? So, if no question, I think that's all for today. So, I think that's all for today. So, I just want to remind for those who take YouTube, please fill in that Google form I post in the Telegram. If you not fill in yet, because I need to make an analysis which chapter that you guys totally not understand, with me to make a revision, recap. Okay. And also lastly, celebrating Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas for those who celebrate Christmas. Okay, so I think that's all for today. If no question, that's all for today. So thank you for attending and happy Merry Christmas for all Christians. So thank you. Bye. See you next week. Bye.